All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. And in today's episode, oh, by the way, my name is Sam and this is CrawlerTrax. And today's episode, we're doing something a little bit different. We're going to teach you how to build the Vector XL. That was a good one. Take your bashing to the next level with the CrawlerTrax Vector XL Ramp. Engineered for extreme durability, featuring a wide deck for an easy approach, this ramp is a dream for any basher or monster truck aiming for high-flying stunts without the need for a skate park. Whether you're going for massive air or a stylish backflip, the Vector XL has you covered. With its dual-function design, one side provides a smooth 37-degree launch, perfect for those long-distance jumps, while the other side offers a backflip ramp that turns every jump into an adrenaline-pumping trick opportunity. No more searching for skate parks, bring the thrill straight to your backyard. Regardless of your preference, monster trucks or bashers, the Vector XL ramp is an absolutely essential for an unforgettable experience with your RC. So what this is the Vector XL. And what it is, it's a monster truck and basher ramp. Now, there's a little bit of confusion in the RC world about the difference between a monster truck and a basher. Essentially, in my world, or what I think, I'm gonna give you the opinion according to Sam, this is a monster truck. I was a big fan of Monster Jam growing up. I was a big fan of all the originals, you know, Bigfoot, Gravedigger, all those original guys have been doing this for centuries. They've been doing it forever. This is a monster truck. In the RC world, a lot of companies call these MTs, or what we call monster trucks. These are not monster trucks in my world. In my brain, in my head, in my headspace, these are bashers, right? I guess bashers is a bad term because then you think you can go out and just destroy the thing and, you know. These are monster trucks, but our ramp, this one specifically, which by the way, there may be another one coming. If you want to see an indoor version of this, although you can use this indoor, if you want to see an indoor version of this, leave a comment down below. It's actually the V1 and 2, V1.5, I guess if you will, of this ramp. We actually developed a little bit smaller, a little bit narrower, a little bit more indoor friendly. This thing is huge. It's not necessarily the best indoor friendly unless you have a lot of space. But I do like to put it in my front room and do some backflips with old Gravedigger here. So it's a lot of fun. But we have a smaller version that's all developed. It was actually the first version, but once we started doing the bash testing, I guess if you want to call it, with these guys, it didn't hold up. Now, with this one, because it's not smacking the chassis on the bottom, when you go off a jump, this doesn't allow it to ever hit the chassis. And if it does, it barely kisses it. It's not a problem for these type of monster trucks. It's LMT, not a problem. For these guys that have the big, large, flat chassis, you can see it right here. When it bottoms out and hits that ramp, it destroyed it. So we redesigned the whole thing and came up with this version. This version is 10 times as strong, don't quote me on that, and twice as wide, almost. This thing is 20 inches wide. It is massive. Let me spin it around here so you can see it. Those of you looking from the overhead camera. It's got a 20-inch deck and a 37-degree launch ramp. On the back side of it, it actually has a backflip ramp, and this is perfect for backflip. If you look at this back side right here, this width is the same width as the first version of this that we developed, but we have all ready to go if you guys want to see it. If you want to see it, once again, leave us a comment down below. We would love to hear your feedback. If you look at some of our early posts, you may see the earlier version of this, but this has been extremely reinforced and we have bash tested it. We have put it through its paces. We've torture tested it. Whatever you want to call it, we have done it to this ramp. And the conclusion we came to is this design is almost indestructible. And today, we're going to show you how to build it. Let's go. All right, let's set this aside. Let's put this right down here. We'll be using it later in our video. And let's get out, which we have right here, our very first quick kit. This is awesome. I love it. This is going to be a great, great addition to the CrawlerTrax lineup, and you're going to love it, I promise. If you're seeing this video, head on over to CrawlerTrax.com or thehangerrc.com and get yourself a Vector XL. First of all, let's go over some tools. The first tools that you're going to need, well, really, it punches itself out. If you've built any of our other obstacles, you know that these punch out super, super easy. But you may need some sort of X-Acto knife. I like this Friska's one. I also have a Ryobi one that I really like, but these are very handy, especially if you need to clean up some edges or on occasion, sometimes the laser, when the wood's warped, doesn't quite cut all the way through. It's just a millimeter or two. You just run your knife down it and it's fine. So get yourself a good X-Acto knife with some sharp blades. You don't want dull blades because dull blades equal accidents. You're going to cut yourself. The second thing you're going to need to build this is some sort of striker, cigarette lighter, what are these things called? Fire starter? Not a fire starter, that's like flint and steel. You know, these things give you a flame. One of these things. Cigarette lighter, that's what I call them. Although we don't really light cigarettes with them. All right, the next thing you're going to need is some Mod Podge. This stuff is local. This stuff is available at your local hobby store. Hobby Lobby. Hobby Lobby doesn't sell our type of hobby stuff, if you don't know. Hobby Lobby, any type of craft store will have Mod Podge. All this stuff, we'll put links down in the description below. Those are affiliate links. It doesn't cost you any more to order from our affiliate links, but the minute you click on that link and if you order some of these supplies from the affiliate links, it gives us a small kickback and it really helps out the channel. Mod Podge, you'll need it. The next thing you'll need is some sort of brush. Now, I really like the foam brush, but this is an actual glue brush. It's used mostly in like carpentry or like cabinet making to spread glue. But I really like my foam brushes. Once again, available any craft store. We'll also put links in the description below. And that is it. That's all you're going to need to build this. Everything else you need is in the kit. So without further ado, let's tear into this kit and let's show you what's inside. First thing we're going to do is cut the plastic wrap. Yeah, this is going to be awesome. I'm so excited for this. My son and I have spent hours jumping our trucks on this ramp. You're going to love it. Let's flip this around so we're right side up. There we go. All right, the first thing you're going to notice is all these pieces of what we call skins or graphics. Let's go through these really quickly because I partnered with a bunch of YouTubers and a bunch of smaller companies, mom and pop shops that allow you to decorate your ramp with sponsorships. So let's go through these. First of all, you get your CrawlerTrax sticker. You guys have seen these, you're used to these. There's like one of 4 you get. So we switch them up. Yes, we do. Put that aside, CrawlerTrax sticker. Next of all, you're gonna have 2 CrawlerTrax skins, or they're not really decals or paper, but that you glue on. If you've built any other obstacles, you're very familiar with that. So you got 2 of those, one big one, one small one. Next, you got the Shop Mini RC. Thanks to Ken for allowing us to use his logo and I guess his sponsorship of this obstacle. Next thing you got is the Micro Crawler Club. This is Van DeWitt and his boys down in Salt Lake City, Utah. I've always supported them. They've always supported me. It's a great partnership. So we decided to include them and got their permission to include them on this, in this ramp. The next, Adam from Cape Crawlers. This guy was our first influencer that reviewed our product and he has been amazing to us. He's just, we owe him the world. And so we thought, let's include a Cape Crawlers decal for you. Next up is Mike from Carry All RC. Carry All RC they're a small company and they're the only company that's not a YouTuber on here. There's a small mom and pop company, but they sent me one of their backpacks and they're amazing. If you haven't heard of them, Carry All RC. By the way, all these companies, I guess they're not companies, all these influencers can be found on the internet. Just Google search them, or we'll put links to every single one of them in the description below. But this is Carry All RC. They make backpacks that carry your RCs. They're high quality backpacks and they're relatively affordable. So head on over to Carry All RC. Next, CK4 RC, Chaz over at CK4. This guy's a YouTuber. He's amazing. He's partnered with us. He's reviewed our obstacles. He's an amazing human being, just like all these guys are. And we reached out to him and said, hey, can we include your logo? And he said, absolutely. CK4 RC. Next, Size Matters. These guys, I met them at Beat the Creek. They're amazing. They are the coolest guys you'll ever meet. They have a live show every Monday night, I do believe. And if you have something to talk about, you can request to join on Instagram and be part of their show. It's a really cool platform. I really love what they're doing and what they're doing for the RC community. Size Matters RC. Next up is Zach over at Money Pit RC, and we just redid their logo. There it is, right there. You get a Money Pit RC decal that you can put on your Vector XL ramp. This guy's been a huge supporter of the channel. He's reviewed a bunch of our product, and he shows shorts, and his shorts get watched. Money Pit RC, the guy's name is Zach. He's an amazing human being, and he does amazing things on Instagram, YouTube, and he's been an amazing support of CrawlerTrax. So next one is a local guy here to Utah. He's a brand new YouTuber, I guess, and it is Mr. Larson from Mount Olympus RC. He actually took a bunch of our rigs just barely to go down there and review them. He's a brand new YouTuber, so he's just getting started in the game. So once again, all these links will be in the description below because they've supported us, and give them your support by hitting that subscribe button. Speaking of subscribe, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video. Oh, and hit that thumbs up and the notification bell. Did I cover them all? Like, subscribe, share, yeah, yes. Do all those things. A trifecta, I think. The trifecta is what Chaz over at CK4RC calls them. Yes, I'm stealing it, buddy. Hit those trifecta. Like, subscribe, share, hit the thumbs up, and smash the bell, whatever you do, you know the drill. Next, you get your info sheet, and this QR code on your info sheet will link to this video right here, and it gives a little description. The build difficulty on the Vector XL is a 5 out of 5 wrenches. It's not a complicated build, but we had to make the tolerances so tight on this compared to the rest of our obstacles. And because of that, we've rated a 5 out of 5. The reason why we want the tolerances to be so tight is so that when your basher or your monster truck smashes into the ramp, nothing's going anywhere. It's going to be solid as a rock. And as far as the obstacle difficulty level, we've rated a 1 out of 5 tires. It's not that hard to hit a ramp. It's just a matter of whether you can hit it square and hit it fast enough. So there's your info sheet. And you'll notice the first thing you see on top is this stretchable cord, this cordage. This stuff stretches, and there's a reason for that, and we'll show you what this stuff does. We're not going to show you the punch out of all these parts. If you need to see a little bit further of how we punch them out, we'll put a video right up there, and you can head on over to watch that first part of that other video. It's one of our other obstacles that shows you kind of how to punch these out. We're just going to show you a couple pieces. So there's 6 sheets in the Vector XL, and you'll notice some of these have already fallen out. These are scrap pieces. You don't need them. They're little squares. Put them over here. Now these punch out really easy. All you have to do is very carefully push them out. See, just like that, that's how they punch out. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna stop the video, we're gonna pause it, we're gonna punch all these out, give you the time to punch them out, but you need to pause the video, and then we'll come back and we'll show you how to build this. All right, that took about 10 minutes or less. Yeah, 10 minutes or less. Let's get started. All right, the first 2 pieces you're gonna need are the pieces that look like this. They are kind of the main 2 support pieces, one for either side, right? They're the same piece. You can just use them on whichever side you use them on. Before we get started with any of the main structure of the ramp itself, the backbone and the spine, we're gonna take these little support pieces and we're gonna put them in their correct places. It is easier to do this before you get started on the ramp. So let's go ahead and put all 8 of them in now. They're gonna go right in these 2 slots. You slot them in, and they actually push up to lock in place. It's going towards the bridge deck. It's going towards the ramp deck. Next, oh, it looks like we forgot a little hole to punch out. So we're gonna grab our X-Acto knife. We're just gonna punch this hole out just like we did all the other holes. That little piece comes in, or comes out, and it gets put right there. Moving on, next one, in, lock it up. Next, in, a little bit tight, that's good. Lock it up. In, and lock it up. Now, if you're having struggled getting these up, sometimes we like to go to the edge of the table and use the table as our friend and push down to lock them up. Luckily, ours slid up and locked into position very easily. But the tolerances there are meant to be tight. Obviously, wood thickness varies, and depending on what your climate's like, wood swells with humidity. So these may be super tight and you may have to work them. If that's the case, I like to just go over, support my piece on the edge of the table, push down, and lock them in place. That looks pretty good. Let's move on to the next one. And the last piece that goes in here is the bottom piece. It only has one locking mechanism, and it goes in the very bottom. Now, I like to be very careful because unsupported, this can break. So I would just basically support it with 2 of your fingers while you're pushing this in, and then once again, lock it up. And that's how that piece looks. Let's move on to the next one. We're going to find the main support piece of the ramp. This is kind of like the backbone of the whole ramp. It looks like this. Okay, we're going to need those pieces. First thing you're going to do is we're going to take one of the side pieces and we're going to take the backbone or the main support piece and we're going to insert it into these 3 slots right here. Not the center 3 and not these 2, obviously. These 3 slots right here. This is a universal piece. It doesn't matter which way it goes. And how these go together is fairly simple. Flip this over here so you can see it. Think about it as if they were tabs and slots, is what they are. We're going to insert these tabs into these slots. So tab A into slot B. And what is going to happen is after you insert those tabs into the slots, then it's going to lock itself down in place. If I can get these lined up here. Sorry. Hey, get in there. There we go. Those are in, and then you're going to see this slide. You're going to push down on the backbone, and it's going to lock into place. So everything on this whole obstacle pretty much locks into place by sliding one direction or another. After we get that piece done, the next piece we're going to look for, or next 2 pieces we're going to look for, are the center supports. And these are what give the main part of the ramp most of its support. They kind of look like the outside pieces. They look like this. And they're actually going to go on this slot and that slot right there. So you're going to fit it into there, lock it in place. Tab A into slot B, just like the other one. I can get it lined up. There we go. And push down to lock it. All right, next on the agenda is we're going to take our rib pieces. These are the main support of the ramp deck. And they are going to slot into these slots on the side right here. They point up, so this short slide, as opposed to the, they point up, so they sit this way. I can show you in the up camera. This is the top. So we're going to slide it down in the slots here, and then we're going to slide it over until it tabs into the side piece, just like that. Once we get each one of these done, we're going to go ahead and lock them in place. We're going to lock them with these little U-shaped pieces. This just makes it easier so things aren't falling out when they're not supposed to, and makes the build a little bit more difficult. You're going to take this U-shaped piece, you're going to put it in the side, and if I get my fingers out of the way, lock it in place. It slides down to lock that rib piece in place. Repeat the same process with the next 4 ribs. Now, these may not seem very tight at this point. Trust me, when you get the other side on, they're going to be tight. We built this with very tight tolerances so that it would have the support it needs when you hit it with a mini basher. Next one, tabs, slide it over, take your U-shaped piece again, and lock that guy in place. And now for the last one. This is the last rib. There's 5 ribs. Goes in. Lock it in place. There we go. Now, we're gonna flip the ramp over and focus our attention on the backflip side of the ramp. All right, locate these 4 funky pieces that look like this. They are basically the main support of the backflip ramp. The pressure when you hit the backflip, that's a tongue twister. The pressure when you hit the backflip ramp with your monster truck or with your basher is enormous. So we have these pieces to support that and give that wood some support. They go in these 4 holes right here. I'm gonna set this down. I'm sorry I'm not doing this upright. It's a little bit awkward, but 1, lock it in place. Tab A into slot B once again. 2, by the way, the rounded side goes up towards the sky. 3, and number 4. Now we're gonna focus our attention on the backflip ramp deck. You're gonna need to find 2 pieces. The first piece that has the sawtooth on it, and it has the 4 holes up top. And the second piece you're gonna need to find is the upright deck that has our CrawlerTrax logo on it. Now, our CrawlerTrax logo is on the outside. We like to put it on the outside, but these are reversible. You can put it on the inside if you really don't want it out. Boo. But the first thing we're going to do is take the 4 tabs and slots and put them together. And these are a little bit bigger because it has to sit on an angle. Next, we're gonna flip our ramp up on the side, and we're gonna line up our backflip ramp with these 4 slots right here. And this is where it gets a little bit crazy because you have to make sure these line up perfectly. And they do there. You have to give it a little bit of pressure. Shouldn't be enough to break it. There we go. Make sure these 4 slots are lined up, and then you can seat them down. Now, we're not going to lock them in place just yet because we still have to put the other side of the ramp on, the other upright support. So flipping the ramp over, we're going to focus our attention on the last upright support, or the last upright piece. And this is where you have to work your way down the ramp. I like to start on the end with the backflip ramp. Just work my way through every tab and every slot. And this is the reason why we rated this a 5 out of 5 on the build difficulty, the 5 out of 5 wrenches. Because this is where you have to kind of line everything up at the same time. And you are putting a lot of pressure, I shouldn't say a lot, you're putting some pressure on the wood so that everything fits in there tight. So just be aware that it may take a little finagling, and it may take some pressure, which that's perfectly normal. But you've got to figure out, you've got to make sure all the tabs are aligned at the same time. What I had to do there is to get this in, I had to push up towards the sky on the spine piece. And it's lined up, and I'm just gonna have to work it down. There we go. Now you don't want to put so much pressure on this that the wood breaks, but you do need to put a little bit of pressure on the spine in order to get it to fit in. You can see it's not all the way in yet, and now I'm working it in. The other thing you want to do is make sure your ribs are lined up, because that'll help. Now that's in, I can kind of push it down just carefully, working it in. You may hear some creaking like that, but you'll notice that I'm not trying to push it all in at once. I'm just very gently working it down in. Those are there. A little bit further here. Take your time. You don't want to break anything. Take your time. All right. That looks like it just seated itself, which is good. There we go. And at the same time, we locked it in place. Now, we're going to lock in, because we haven't already, we're going to lock in the backflip ramp. I'm going to stand the ramp up right. I'm going to push down on the bottom piece of the backflip ramp, and it should slide down just perfectly. And then I'm going to put the piece that says CrawlerTrax, I'm going to push down on it as well. And that locks that in place. You'll notice at this point, you have a really sturdy ramp. My key fell out, the U-shaped piece. Now that your ramp's fairly sturdy, we're going to go to the other side, and we're going to lock the other side of the spine pieces in place. Starting with the top, take your U-shaped piece, just like on the other side, and lock this spine in place. There we go. Number 2, spine number 3 right in the middle. U-shaped piece, lock it in place. Number 4, lock it in place. And the last spine, I'm going to lock that in place. Now that we've got all our spines locked in place, the ramp should be fairly rigid. We're in the home stretch. The last thing we have to do as far as building the structure of the ramp is put on the deck. By the way, you'll notice we left you 2 extra of the U-shaped pieces just in case you break one. I haven't ever broken one, but we had room on the sheet and we thought, you know what? We might as well give you some extra pieces just in case. All right, guys, we're on the home stretch. The next and last final 3 pieces are the jumping ramp deck. Not the backflip ramp, the jumping ramp deck. There's 3 pieces. There's a big, medium, and small. And one of the pieces, you'll notice, if I can find it, has our slogan on it, Serious Terrain. Again, it's reversible if you really don't want that out, but, you know. Come on, why would you? All right, first piece we're going to start with is the one with the sawtooth on it. These 4 slots are going to go on the bottom 2 support pieces. And they tab and slot into place just like the rest of it. Just like that. Perfect. Next piece is the middle piece, and it does the same thing. Tab and slot. Once again, a little bit tight, so you may have to push one way or another to get it seated. Once it's seated, it should be pretty good. There we go. And the last one, Serious Terrain, baby. And it only has 2 tabs versus 4. Oh, that's a reach. 21 inches is no joke. And there. All right, now that that's seated, non-sponsored drink of choice. Now that that's seated, we're going to take our bungee cord or our stretchy cord, and we're going to make it so these deck pieces won't come off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip the whole ramp upside down for the time being. Now careful, those deck pieces may move a little bit, but that's okay. Once we get these set, it's not going anywhere. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my cigarette lighter or striker or fire starter or whatever we're calling it, and I'm just going to burn this end. Burn it just a little bit. Now, once it's burning, you can blow it out, and then I lick my fingers just so I don't burn myself, and I make it kind of into a point, just like so. That'll help feed it through the holes. You're going to start on one side or the other. The first hole you're going to go through is this hole right here. You can see that from the top down. You're going to start by going through that hole. Now you're having pieces fall out, which is okay. I'm going to feed this through, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie a knot. I'm going to tie a knot as close to the edge, the end of the bungee cord as I can. And I'm just going to do an overhand knot. I'm very familiar with that, like the start of your tying your shoes. Make sure it's tight. Now this can be undone, so just be aware. Now that that's tight on the inside, like so, the first hole I'm going to go through is the 2 holes on, got to burn this side too, by the way. We'll do that real quick. Here we go. There we go. First hole I'm going to feed it through is the first 2 holes on the deck piece. I'm going to flip this all over so you can see it. It's kind of awkward to show on camera, actually. So the first 2 holes that you're going to go through are, once again, these first 2 on the bridge deck, or on the ramp deck, not the bridge deck. You're going to go up, and you're going to basically sew. I know, it brings back memories of the valley, huh? You're going to sew this. It's not as hard as the valley, trust me. You're going to sew this bungee cord through the deck. Now next, I'm just going to take these off for the time being. This is where you want to get it really tight. I'm going to flip this up just so you can see. Stay there. For illustration purposes, I'm going to come down through, on these side support pieces, I'm going to come down through the top hole and pull it tight. Just like that. Now I can tab this back in like so. And this bottom piece is going to start to be locked. Going to start to be locked, is that a phrase? Going to start to be locked into place. Okay. Now, after I got that first one in there, I can go ahead and just work my way backwards and pull it tight from on top of the bridge deck. I keep calling it a bridge deck. The ramp deck. And then pull it tight down here. It's going to stretch a little bit, and that's what you want. That's what's going to keep it all nice and tight together. Next hole I'm going to go to is the next one up, right here and here. Up through. And then back down. You're going to repeat this process on every ramp deck piece until you get to the top. Once we get to the top, repeating that same process of up and down and through the support piece, we're going to come back and show you how to run the top bungee cord. Now for the top piece. Hashtag serious terrain. Use it. That's how we see your projects. I love it. We love to see your guys' builds. We love to see when you guys are using our obstacles. Use the hashtag so we can see your stuff. All right. We're almost to the top. Last 2 holes before we start going across the top of the ramp. All right, once we get to this point right here, we want to go back through and we want to pull all these tight so everything stays in place. Starting with the bottom, we'll move this up so you guys can see it. Pulling tight, pulling up here, and just working the bungee down all the way, I guess up, rather, all the way up to the top of the ramp. Making sure everything's nice and snug and pulled tight. And you can crank on this bungee quite a lot. It's meant to do that. It's designed to do that. Make sure our pieces are fitted in. There we go. This one, down like so. And just work your way all the way up the deck, tightening up the bungees to make sure it is able to keep the deck on the ramp. You'll notice the loop and how much we're able to pull down on, pull up, I guess, or through on the bungee cord. Cordage. There we go. See all that? See that extra loop? That's a lot. You want to make sure it's tight. Okay, now that we've got it tight up top, these, I don't know if you hear that. They're pretty tight. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to flip the ramp right side up. And we're actually going to take the top piece that says serious terrain, and we're just going to fold it over. We're going to feed it through the top of the ramp. There's a little hole right before the spine or the backbone. We're going to feed it through there. Doing the same thing with the 3 sets of holes along the top of the ramp. I'm going to go up through the bottom and back down through the top. And then in the the cross supports, there's some little holes. You're just going to go through those and then repeat the same process all the way along the top side of the series terrain piece. Now you're saying you're running out of cable? That's okay. Just keep pulling some more. There's plenty. All right. Same thing. We're got one more to do. We just got this last one through the center. Like that. And then up through the bottom, down through the top, and the last one goes out the side of the side support, the uprights. They're like that. Now you're going to put this in place, lock it in on the one side that you've already strung. Then you're going to start to pull on all these top loops in order to get the bungee tight. Same thing. You can see how much we're pulling out. Just like that. And then we'll pull the rest of this out. Now we want to make sure all this other side is locked into place. So we're going to make sure the tab and slots are there before we start to fish the bungee through the holes. Now that that's done, we made sure these are tight. We're going to go back up through the top of the series terrain piece, which is the top piece of the ramp, and then back down. Now moving over to the side, we're going to go through the side support, the top hole, not the bottom hole. And once again, repeat this same process all the way down the other side of the ramp. Doesn't matter which side you start on, by the way. And then through the upright piece. Then I'm going to come back up to the top here and start to pull everything tight, making sure that the top is fairly tight, which it is. I'm going to continue to pull, and I'm going to continue to make sure that these pieces are locked in. There we go. Now with the bungee, it's really going to lock them in because it's putting upward pressure on these side support pieces. It's going to keep them locked in place. You can see what I'm doing from the overhead camera. All I'm doing is taking out the slack in the bungee and making sure everything is tight. Nice and tight. Oh, I just unthreaded it. All right, one more time. Up through, down through, and then through the center, or the upright support. All right. See, look at all that extra we have. Make sure this last one's tight. All right. Now what we're going to do, so I'm going to flip the ramp over so you can see it. And now that all these are tight here, for the most part, and you can kind of adjust it and fudge it, I'm going to tie this knot as close to the end, or as close to the inside upright support as I can. Just like that. And then you can leave this, tie it across here, or you can just cut it off. It's up to you. I'm just going to leave it for now. I'll just put it like that and we'll call it good. All right. We are officially done with the build. However, we have two more things to cover. First of all, application of the graphics. We got all these cool sponsors for you. You might as well get them put on your ramp. You can decorate this thing, apply those graphics however you want, or wherever you want rather. I'm going to start by applying the big one. Now, if you've never worked with Mod Podge before, this stuff is like basically watered down super glue, or not super glue, watered down white glue from your grade school days, but it works awesome. But there's a few little tips and tricks I'm going to show you just so you have an idea of how to use this stuff. I'm going to use my foam brush. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the sticker after I've already wet my brush down. That was smart. Or the graphic, not the sticker, and just kind of eyeball where I want to put it. Okay? So I'm putting it there. That looks really good. I like it there. Maybe I'll put it down here just to be different because my other ramp is not this way. Yeah, let's put it there. So I'm going to dip my foam brush in my Mod Podge. Like I said, this is like white glue. I'm going to just brush out where my logo or where my sponsor logo graphic is going to be. Just going to brush a thin coat. And what you're going to do is you're going to apply the graphic just like you would with white glue to the wood. Okay, I got this where I want it to be. I shouldn't have done that. You got to be a little bit quick, but it's kind of like white glue. Not too quick. I'm going to line it up where I want it to be. Make sure it's straight because that's my graphic designer in me wanting to make sure everything's straight and centered. Looks pretty good there. A little bit of fudge as I get it in. All right. And I'm just going to make sure that all the edges are pressed down. If you get ahead of yourself and don't press down the edges, the graphic's going to peel up, and you don't want that. Okay, so it looks like the edges are pretty well pressed down. And I'm just going to let that dry for just a little bit while I work on putting the rest of my graphics on where I want them. I'm going to put, let's see here. Let's put that guy right there. He looks good there. So I'm going to, once again, apply just a little bit more. Make sure that's straight. And make sure all the edges are pressed down. There we go. Next one, let's do the Micro Crawler Club. It's kind of cool. This is my favorite part about this, honestly. Besides jumping on it, with the cars, not with me, obviously, is deciding where I want the graphics to go. So once you get all the graphics glued down initially, then what you do is you go back and cover them completely with the Mod Podge. The Mod Podge will dry clear. And so what that does is when you cover them completely is it protects the edges so that as you hit them with your tires or if you smack the ramp with the bottom of your chassis on your bashers, it's not going to pull up the graphics. I'm going to show you how to do that now. I'm going to take my Mod Podge and don't be afraid to go thick. Okay, I'm just going to make some smooth, even strokes back and forth. Like I said, it will dry clear. Don't hesitate to get it a little bit thick. We like it thick. That's a reference to Sir Mix-a-Lot. if you didn't know. Baby got back, you know. All right. Did I just age myself or date myself? Yeah, I think I did. Some of you may not have or have ever heard of Sir Mix-a-Lot. Look him up. He's awesome. Oh, the 90s. Oh, that corner came up. See that? So I'm just making sure they're pressed down before you start putting stuff over the top so you don't get bumps and bubbles and all sorts of fun stuff. Looks like it needs a little bit more glue. Just going to do that. This is just white glue. It will come off your fingers, so don't be afraid. Got to get this pressed down pretty good because that one's coming up. This one's coming up a little bit too. Take your time. There's no rush. This has got to dry overnight anyway before you use the ramp. Okay, we're going to finish putting on our decals and our stickers, or not stickers, but our graphics. And as soon as we're done, we'll check back with you and show the last thing. We're going to show you one more little thing we have in store for you on the Vector XL. You're going to love it, I promise. Let's get these graphics put on. All right, guys, we have all the graphics applied, and while they're drying, we're going to show you something really cool. Obviously, when we design our obstacles, we try our hardest to make sure that the replay value on those obstacles is very high. With a few of our obstacles, unfortunately, we couldn't do that, such as the broken bridge. There is a little bit of adjustability, but the replay value isn't as high as, say, the wave or the valley or the frame bender. However, we have thought of something for the Vector XL, and I'm going to show it to you right now. We have developed a kit that will allow you to combine 2 or more ramps. Now I say 2 or more, meaning you could combine 10 ramps if you wanted to, run it all the way across the street. But this kit will allow you to double the width, not the height, but double the width of the ramp. The kit to double up the width of your ramp is sold separately. You'll find the link to it in the description below. Right now, I'm going to show you how to combine 2 of these ramps together, and the same would be for 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 or 20 or however many you want to do. The same process would be exactly the same. First thing we have is this little piece right here. This little piece hooks the main structure of the ramp together. The second piece is our cordage, or our bungee cord, that allows you to make sure those 2 ramps don't separate when you hit them. And this would be the same for 2, 4, 10, 12, 20, however many you wanted to do. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take our ramp here that's drying, being careful, I don't want to mess up the graphics. I'm going to flip it on its head. There we go. Just like that. If you look at these 3 holes that are left over, and they're on either side of the ramp, 1, 2, 3, that's what we're going to use in order to connect the 2 ramps together. I'm going to grab our second ramp that we showed you at the first of this video, which doesn't have any graphics on it. Once again, the choice is yours. We like you to be able to customize it. I'm going to set these ramps side by side. This is going to be a little tricky. Here's the best way to do it. I'm going to set these this way, right, like so for now. I'm going to set these like this. You're going to take this piece right here that comes with your link kit, expansion kit. I don't know what we're going to call this quite yet, but you're going to take this piece right here. It kind of looks like a spider or a beetle, or a scarab, I guess. And I'm going to insert it in these 3 slots right here. I'm not going to slide to lock it in place just yet. Now I'm going to grab our other ramp that we showed you at the first of the video that doesn't have any graphics on it. And I'm going to have to set this one down for the time being. I'm going to set it side by side. Ooh, these are wide. This is going to be 40 inches wide. This is awesome. There's 3 holes on this ramp, just like on this ramp, so you can link them together. And you fit this in. Let me see if I can tip these up to show you. The 3 holes are right there. You're going to fit it in, slide them together, and once you get that in, slide this piece down to lock them in place. Then you're going to tip these things on their head, like that, and you're going to take your piece of cordage, your stretch bungee cord, and you're going to thread this like you would thread your shoelace. Starting at one end, I've already tied a knot in the one end, and you're going to go up. So I'm starting at the low end of the ramp, or the downward side of the ramp, and then I'm going to cross, just like I cross when I'm doing my shoelaces. Okay, just like that. I hope you can see that. Let's move that guy. There we go. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing, crossing back over. Keep in mind, I've already burned the edge of this to make it easier to go through the holes. Crisscross applesauce, as my kids would say. Oh, it's frayed a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead and burn it again. Always lick those fingers. Makes it so you don't burn yourself. There we go. And when you get to the top, after you get it through the opposite hole, there we go, you're going to come straight across. And then you're going to zigzag your way back down. Now, this is getting pretty short. You want to make sure this is tight. This has to be tight in order to keep the two ramps together. So you want to make sure you take out that slack. You've got plenty of cordage here. We have made sure. You just need to make sure that it's tight. You can see how tight it is. That was kind of a neat little tune. All right, I'm going to continue to crisscross like I'm doing up my shoelace. Kind of doing this blind so you guys can see. Excuse the lean. There it is. Next one, coming down, making a zigzag pattern. I need more bungee. So once again, I'm just gonna make sure things are tight. Crossing over. Excuse the lean once again. Trying to see what I'm doing. You guys can't see that. There we go. And pull it tight. Make sure everything's tight. Then go through your last hole. Like that. And like you did before, you want to tie a knot. You want to tie that knot as tight or as close to this brace piece that you can. Okay, now these two ramps are linked together for a 40-inch wide ramp. How cool is that? This is the Vector XL, guys. This is going to be a game changer when it comes to your bashers, your monster trucks, your MTs, whatever we're calling them, all of the above. This thing is awesome. Let's hit the street and let's show you what this thing can do. Let's go.
I've seen monster trucks, bashers take the stage. Vector XL Ramp, ready, set, engage. Launch from to the sky, break all the rules. Flip back in
That
wild,
was a
no
good
time
one.
for fools. Throttle wide open, feel the raw push. Grounding on the edge, give it that rush. Jump it, hit that ramp, Vector XL leads. Got the thrilling phase, no backing needs. We launched a new high flip and spin. Vector XL, the rush within. RC bashers take the lead. High flying dreams without a peep. Grip the dirt throttle, blasting loud. Vector XL Ramp, we take the crown. Crushing asphalt dusters high. Iron beasts soar, touch the sky. Backflip ramp, we defy gravity. Monsters roaring wild and free. Vector XL, that rebel road. All out chaos, the ultimate code. We launched a new high flip and spin. Vector XL, the rush within. RC bashers take the lead. High flying dreams without a peep. A new height, flip and spin. Vector XL, the rush within. RC bashers take the lead. High flying dreams without a peep.
Oh. All right, guys, that was awesome. You see those jumps? They're ridiculous. You can get some serious air with the Vector XL. You're gonna love it, I promise. Backflips are awesome. With the dual setup like this, you can actually hit 2 backflips at the same time. It's a lot of fun. My son and I have had a blast with the Vector XL, and we're gonna continue to have a blast. And maybe in the future, we'll see if we can add a 3rd one and a 4th one and a 5th one. If you'd like to see us add a 3rd one, leave us a comment down below. Well, thanks for joining me on this adventure while we built the Vector XL and showed you guys how to build it. If you're seeing this video, it is available on our website at HRC.com or CrawlerTrax.com right now. So go there, grab yourself 1 or 2 or 3, pick yourself up a link kit, and you can link these together as many as you want. Much like our mud pit, completely designable or completely expandable, I guess, if you will. This thing's awesome, guys. You're gonna love it, I promise. Let's wrap this guy up. Don't forget to do the trifecta or quadfecta. Is it tri or quad? Hit that subscribe button. And normally at this point in the video, I would say, see you on the trail, but we're not on any trails with this one. We're gonna be in the streets. So thanks for sticking with me through the whole video, and let's go bash. This is a blast. See you next time.